as you saw from the title, I'm going after the whole problem-solving advice, fix it, save the day, solution-oriented. I don't want to say just commentary, but I'm going to say energy. And I've just had a really big epiphany about this, and so I've been hesitant to share it. My voice is hoarse because I've been talking to myself about it all morning. But I think I will. And like I said, this is both a personal and professional plea, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized this isn't just about my own personal place in the world or experience, but I think it's happening on a great big scale. And so I really wanted to dive in deep and address this idea of why I'm having so much resistance against people's opinions, advice, and problem solving. And I'm not talking about just on my channel. I'm talking about the fact that I can't listen to hardly anybody about anything anymore. And I don't think I'm alone. So I'm going to address this as Jill, the nomad, off-the-grid wilderness person. And I'm going to address this as Jill, the therapist slash social worker who has built a career out of being an excellent problem solver, because both who I was professionally and how I live personally are all about solving problems. And as you know, I have a huge reaction when people try to solve them for me. So I'm going to dig in on that, but first we're going to take a deep breath, and I will see you on the other side. So I wanted to show you just a few pictures because, like I said, this lifestyle is all about problem solving. Non-stop, never-ending, how am I going to fix or solve or find solutions for the next thing. We had some big wins in that I used that high heat spray paint and cleaned up both of my stoves. I don't know that you can see them very well, but that went fabulously. I couldn't believe how easy and how beautiful that was. To my first attempt at pickled eggs, which I'm not even showing you other than in the pot if I'm showing you that, which were a complete disaster. Apparently I can't even hardly peel an egg without cracking it open. So I am an awesome problem solver. I have a very balanced left-right brain scenario. It's what made me a really good social worker, not so much a therapist, but I'm an excellent crisis social worker because I have the capacity to just shut up and listen to the deep feelings in the moment of great emotion. But I also have the ability to flip that switch and get into super high-functioning problem-solving mode when there's a crisis, there's a time limit, or it's just a day-in and day-out issue. And so one of the reasons I react so poorly to people giving me advice personally or trying to solve my problems is, one, what makes you think I don't know that? I mean, I'll be honest, in the entire time I've been on YouTube, I can probably say one hand where anybody's advice has been something that I haven't thought about. And 99% of the time, it's not because I don't know what to do. And people who know me, I am the first to ask. Man, I will knock on doors. I will call up strangers when I need to solve a problem. I have no shame. I'm not a guy to ask for help. But one of the things that is, an issue for me personally is that my brain responds very negatively to criticism or negativity. And so I have a tendency to overreact. But I think the biggest issue around that, and this is not just about me, I think this is a bigger picture, is that anybody who's problem solving, unsolicited advice is pushing at you and trying to give you something that, one, you're not asking for, two, you may not even want. But what the biggest thing for me is it just feels like one more thing to do. And I do as much as I can do. There are so many limitations personally about this lifestyle, about what's going on in the world right now, that for me it is never about what should I do because I don't know, but because I'm operating under some kind of limitation, whether it's financial, whether it's energy, whether it's location, whether it's weather, whether it's, this fabulous survival lifestyle or whatever it is, that it's not because I don't know. It's because I can't do it. And I have nobody that can help me do it. And so, for everybody who thinks they're helping by giving me advice and one more thing to do, you should, all that feels like is, just go away. I don't have any room for that. And the reason why that's so important right now, because we're in this world where everybody's giving opinions, everybody's giving advice, everybody's sitting behind their camera like I am, or just by themselves or with other people, telling you what they think other people should do, criticizing others, pointing fingers, all this push out action. And the problem with all that push out action is it doesn't give you any room to have an emotion about it. And on top of that, we've shifted into this perspective of, if I'm conservative, I'm right about everything and I have no feelings and logic and science are everything, to, left where I'm all feelings and I'm completely irrational and everybody else is wrong and my feelings are always right. It's a fact versus feeling kind of battle. It's interesting historically, before we were science, of course there's gnats, people were supernatural, right? So they feared what they didn't know and logic, reason didn't matter. Then we moved into the age of logic and reason and science-based, and then the supernatural or the intuition or the feeling was dismissed. I'm kind of thinking that we need both. Call me crazy. And I'm really good at both. And I think I'm very integrated. And, you see married couples that are very integrated. I think having both is important. But this push of opinion and advice and judgment and condemnation, it doesn't give you any room to have real emotion about the magnanimously, humongously overwhelming experience that we're all having in this massively changing world. I mean, there is bad crap happening to almost everybody. And I think, in my personal experience with you guys and in my life, I get that 95 to 99% of the advice and the opinions and the you should, that really comes from a place of concern. It comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of really genuinely, if I can solve your problem, then your life will be better. I totally get that. There's a tiny percentage that I've always had an issue with my whole life that just, mostly men, all men, they want to be smarter than me. They're so uncomfortable that there's this constant, I need to be smarter than you in order to feel like I'm still a man. I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm extremely competent and capable. And I know more than almost everybody. And that's very uncomfortable to be around. And so, when people say, oh, and I'm opinionated and I'm a problem solver. And so that makes me great professionally, but it doesn't make me very pleasant to be around personally either. And I recognize that, and I'm having a gnat attack here. There's so many little gnats. And so I, stay away from people generally because I can feel that they're uncomfortable in my presence, and I get tired of pretending to be something I'm not. And so I've tried to find that balance, between spending time alone, which I'm always perfectly happy to do. That's why I like nature. That's why I like animals. I like the spiritual. I like the God. I like all that kind of stuff because I get to be myself. But when I interact with other people, I never get to be myself. So for all of those of you who say, oh, you should just, find somebody, whatever. It's worse for me to be, like I always say, it's worse to be with someone and feel alone than to be alone and be feeling alone. That's just me. So this is my personal and my professional plea, that we need to just back it up. When I've started talking about resiliency, over Patreon, I'm calling it emotional resiliency, because I think the one place we are most bottlenecked, you've heard me talk about that, is that we are overloaded with information, with ideas, and with opinions and advice. It isn't about what should we do. It's about two things. And this is the masculine energy and the feminine energy. Whether you're a man or a woman is irrelevant. The masculine energy needs to stop thinking and opining and advising and start taking action. And the feminine energy needs to stop thinking and learning and rationalizing and process the emotional component of the enormity of what's happening, whether that's on a personal level, where so many people are just having incredibly stressful experiences right now, and then watching what's happening to all of us. I mean, if you're not like both terrified and overwhelmed by what's going on right now, you're just really not paying attention. And so my little experience here with you guys and a little bit around lately has really made me so aware that there's no room to express ourselves emotionally right now, to process the enormity of what's happening, because I think everybody's overwhelmed, that nobody can listen because everybody's overwhelmed with everything that's happening both to them personally and to everyone else. There's no safe place. That was the role of the therapist, is to listen and not give advice, to let you have your emotional space. But I don't even know if therapists can do that anymore. It's just, we're in this really bizarre place where everybody has advice, everybody has opinions, everybody wants to problem solve. Almost nobody is just shutting up and taking action, which would make men feel better. And I believe that our gift as women is to really step back and process so much of what's happening emotionally. And I'm finding how difficult, even though I intellectually understand that, to give myself permission to do that. Where are we at? We're at 12 minutes. I was watching, there's a model named Paulina Poroskova, and I was watching her talk. I have a funny story about her. I actually walked past her and Rick Ocasek one time when we were down in Santa Monica. It was a really weird experience because we kind of, I hate to say we look alike because she looks much prettier than me, but it was just this really weird experience where we were both looking at each other like, But she's my age. She's a little bit younger, and she was talking about how she was just a one-dimensional object because that people always looked at her physically, and so she talks about her life, and her husband Rick Ocasek apparently was kind of a dick, and then after 35 years of marriage, he pretty much withdrew, but he also cut her completely out of his will after she spent several years taking care of him after being with him for 35 years. So she has a lot of emotions around that. So the point being is she shared a video, I guess, of her crying on Instagram, and she got really positive feedback from that. And I'm thinking, we think everybody else's lives are so together, that everybody else is so perfect. And, when I was younger, that was a thing, like all the girls wanted to be models. And it was something that I thought maybe I could do too, because I was tall and, my face is good with having a lot of different looks. I can change the way I look a lot. I have a lot of variety, but I'm so glad I didn't go into that, because every story that you hear is kind of a nightmare story about what happened to them personally. And, but we have this idea that everybody else's life is good, it's easy, it's fabulous. And it's really not. We have no idea. I learned that working in the emergency room, when famous people would come in and all that stuff, is you never know what someone else is going through. And I think, we've been in competition for so long about who can be the bigger victim, that we're getting this backlash about, well, then you're not supposed to have feelings about no matter what happens to you. And then combining that with the fact that everybody's overwhelmed, there's no room to be compassionate and listen and be empathetic to other people's problems because we're so unseen and unheard in our own, and then we're overwhelmed with our personal experience, and then there's kind of a global overwhelm about what's happening to so many people. I don't know what you even do with that, but I just sort of this, it's been something on my mind for a while. I think it's really important that we somehow figure out how to step back off of opinions, off of advice, and really just let the other person have a feeling. And, I don't think this is the place. Like, I don't want to come up here and just vent all my personal feelings about all my problems to you. But my experience is if I just talk a little bit about something, the majority of the people want to jump to advice, which makes me just not want to make videos. And so I've been, hemming and hawing and dragging my feet and, want to quit all the time because I let that type of person get to me, and that's my problem, not your problem, my problem. But I'm not wrong, and I'm not a failure because I'm having an emotional reaction to personal issues and to global issues. And we shouldn't have to just go to a professional to have somebody listen to us. And so I really encourage you to take a step back. And I really encourage people to put in the comments if you can relate to this. Do you feel like you have room out in the world and in your home and within yourself to have a real feeling about the real things that are happening both to us and to everyone? Or do you feel like you're constantly being shut down because everybody else needs to jump in with their advice? I'm just so frustrated with everybody shaming, blaming, condemning, judging both sides, making everybody else wrong, when that doesn't help. That all that does is justify your own personal BS. So that would be a question I would like to see in the comments. Do you feel like you have room in yourself, in your community, in your family, in your relationships, and in this world to have a real feeling about the real events that are happening to all of us? Or do you feel like you're weak? Do you feel like people are judging you or making fun of you, or they want to fix you, or they want to give you advice, or they're pushing at you, just giving you more to do? Like anybody needs more to do, right? Like the humongous to-do list isn't exhaustive. Push, 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 do, do, do. Do you feel like you have the room to feel so that you can process it emotionally? And that's really clearing out that bottleneck. I think action and emotion will clear out this bottleneck of energy that we have around too much information, too much advice, and too much opinion. Because I'm going to promise you that even though nobody's going to want to hear this, the crisis in the world is not about a problem that we need to solve. But that is a question and an answer for another day. So that is my plea to you. I want the room to have my feelings about what's happening. I don't need permission. I'm just trying to throw that out there because I can't imagine I'm the only one. So with that, we're going to enjoy the rest. I think this is our last warm day. November's not bad, but December is around the corner and real winter is coming. And that is not a problem I have finished solving yet. So with that, deep breath, and I will see you next time.